Hey guys, my name is Alex and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So just for starters, if anyone is wondering why my background is a little bit different today, it's because I have COVID! Woo! So in order to isolate and quarantine, I got relocated into a single and into a new room for like about a week. So anyways, now that I am in college, there is a whole new list of hardships and challenges that I have to face, including COVID. But I would say that the absolute hardest thing for me about college is finding silence. But I also think that finding silence is one of the most important things that we can do. My mind is constantly on. It feels like I am always thinking about something, and I think at times that can just be absolutely exhausting. Like I have friends who will just sit down and stare off into space or just sit and say nothing and do nothing. And I'll look at them and I'll be like, what are you thinking about? And they'll just like shrug their shoulders and be like, nothing. Nothing? Like, what do you mean nothing? Like, do you know how hard it is for me to just think about nothing? Like, thinking about nothing is its own task for me. Like, I have to set aside time specifically to turn off my brain or to actively try to think about nothing. But anyways, during the first half of this quarter, I think I did a pretty bad job of finding silence. And I think a couple weeks ago, it actually ended up reaching like a breaking point for me, and I got like pretty stressed out because of it. To understand how I reached this breaking point, I think you have to know a little bit about how I got into the situation that I did. By nature, I'm an introvert, and I love spending time alone. And in high school, my schedule and environment were completely conducive to my hermit-like lifestyle. Like at 4 or 5 o'clock every day, after clubs or whatever things I had to do after school, I would come home and pretty much just hole up in my room for the rest of the day. My room was a safe haven. I could go in there and not be bothered for as long as I wanted. There was never this pressure to say or do anything. I could simply exist in the confines of my room in complete quiet, like in my own little world. And I love that. But it's completely different at college. From my bedroom, every single night, I can hear people laughing or screaming or talking or just like interacting with other people. And when I'm sitting in my room alone and I hear those things, I can't help but feel like I should be out socializing with people. That any time spent by myself is a waste of time because other people are out there socializing. I feel like this weird sense of shame or guilt for being alone while other people are socializing. Logically, I understand that the laughter I hear from my window is not a real representation of any single person's life. Let's say on any given night, I can hear between 20 to 40 people from my bedroom window if they laugh loudly enough. I know it's very normal to spend time alone or to just study in silence, but it doesn't feel that way because like from my vantage point, the world is split between me and the people outside my window because all sound that comes in through my window just like sounds the same, like laughter is laughter. And so if any one of those 20 or 40 people end up laughing that night, it all just filters in through my window as like this single stream of constant laughter. And obviously since people laugh at different times, what I end up getting is like the sum total of laughter between like 20 to 40 people throughout the night, but as like a single constant stream through my window. And so I like am left with like this impression that people are just constantly laughing or out there socializing or like having the time of their lives. And having that constant background noise like slowly eats away at me. Having that much laughter is like just an impossible standard to live up to. Like you can't always be laughing. Like you've got other things that you have to do. And this was especially bad on the weekends because on the weekends everyone is going out and I can just hear more laughter and I can hear the people in my hallway have large gatherings or like large groups of people heading out to like the frats or whatever. And just hearing that would make me feel like I had to go out or else I would be missing out on something. FOMO. My normal method of dealing with FOMO is like just accepting that their reality is not mine and that's okay. For example, if my friends plan like a spontaneous trip to Hawaii, which is something that legitimately happens, I kind of just accept that like, oh, one, maybe I don't have the funds, or two, I'm literally just too busy to go. Like it is not possible for me to go and I can accept that. So it's not a big deal. And I think I've gotten pretty good at dealing with that type of FOMO. But these situations are different because nothing is ever stopping me from going out. Like the decision is up to me. I could go to the party if I wanted to. So one night a couple weeks ago, I kind of like was confronted with this problem. I could go to the party, nothing was realistically stopping me. But in my head that night, it just wasn't that simple because like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that some part of me just wanted to have a peaceful night by myself, but I couldn't stay in without hearing like the constant laughter of people from my dorm or the streets, and that like made me kind of anxious and like gave me the general FOMO feeling. But I have a general life rule that you should not do things because of FOMO, because I think the more that we do things because of FOMO, the harder it is to ignore the feeling whenever it comes up, and I think it only perpetuates it even worse. And so that was like a pretty clear reason to stay in, but at the same time, I don't think I shouldn't do things because of fear. Like, I can be pretty introverted, but I've been looking to try to like just meet more people or get to know more people. And so part of me felt that like by not going out that night, I was kind of running away from social situations that I may have been scared of. And part of me thought maybe I should go and try to push myself and meet more people. And I could not tell whether like this anxious feeling I had in me was because one, I was scared of going out and meeting new people, or two, because I was scared of staying in and missing out. It was like this really weird feeling that like I knew I felt like anxious or nervous or something, but I couldn't like put my finger on what it was and what I should do or what I wanted. And I know from the outside it's pretty easy to just be like, yo, it's really not that deep, like who cares? Go to the party, don't go to the party, no one cares. And it's probably not that deep, but just like that's how I was feeling in the moment. And so I decided that I would give myself 20 to 30 minutes of space, and then I would decide what to do after that. So I found a quiet space on campus where there weren't many people walking around, and it was just like completely silent, and I did like 20 minutes of walking meditation. And afterwards, like my mind just felt incredibly clear. Sometime last year, I watched a video about the benefits of meditation, and I couldn't find it again on YouTube, but I remember the video describing one of the main benefits of meditation as giving your consciousness a break from being you. For 20 minutes, I just let my mind exist, experiencing the fresh air and the firm ground beneath my feet. And afterwards, I just felt really calm. I feel like I was able to look at all of my options with a really clear mind. And I kind of realized, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like if I don't go out tonight, it's not a big deal. If I do go out tonight, that's also not a big deal. And like, I just felt way more clarity with like the decisions that I could make. So I guess this was just like a really long-winded way of saying making time for silence, true peace and quiet can give you a lot of clarity about what you want. In my experience, it's impossible to really know what you want without giving yourself space and time alone to really think about what you want. And I'm not just talking about like studying by yourself or like watching TV alone in your room. I'm talking like real peace and quiet away from the distractions to give yourself space. This might just be me, but I feel like when I'm around people, I am constantly being influenced by others, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like when I'm with my friends, I care about different things than when I'm alone. Like when I'm with people, I want to go screw around and have a really fun time, play board games, or go do something really adventurous. And that's okay because like we're multifaceted people. We aren't always the same. We don't always care about the same things in the same order all the time. Like we change, we have different moods, and that's totally normal. And the problem is not my friends. The problem is 100% me. Like when I start hanging out with people, like it's hard for me to just be like, oh, I'm gonna stop hanging out with you now so I can go do work. And I feel like everyone does that, right? I just think that the barrier between your mind and like the real world is really blurry and honestly really permeable. It's like the cell membrane. Like osmosis, when I'm around other people, their ideas and like vibes and influences naturally flows into me. And again, this isn't like a bad thing. Like everything has its time and place. There's 100% a time to just screw around. But I think it's important to like take steps back and really ask yourself, is the way that you're spending your time the way you want to be spending your time? Like I think silence just really helps you clarify what you want to do with your time. And in a really weird, intangible way, I think silence also really helps socialization. Some of the best moments in my life are definitely when I know exactly who I am and what I want, and I'm able to like bring my most authentic self into social situations. But that like requires that I know exactly who I am and what I value, and that I'm not just like constantly being swayed by like the influences of others. So over the last couple of weeks, I put way more effort into going on walks at night. I try to go at least 2 or 3 times a week, and I always try to walk at night because I think during the day, there are just way more distractions. But at night, it's like silent and it's normally pretty empty, and you can really just be alone with your thoughts and like just focus on yourself. I also meditate every morning, but like admittedly, those meditation sessions are dubious at best. Also, now that I'm in quarantine, like I've removed 70 to 80% of distractions from my life, and I've just had so much more time just by myself or in silence over the last week. And in these moments when it's just me in my room and I'm writing or I'm procrastinating on work, I honestly like feel kind of more creative. Now I have the space to just think about random things, and like when random things pop into my mind, I have the time to like just sit and let those thoughts run. Like honestly, quarantine did me a lot more good than it did bad. Like in quarantine, I've been reading a lot more. I've had time to write more scripts and just think about more ideas for the future. And I've had like the time to really sit down and just get really immersed in TV shows or movies that I've wanted to watch for a while. So while I don't recommend people go out and get COVID, I do recommend that they try to make time for silence in their life. You'll gain more clarity and maybe even become a bit more creative because of it. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. My name is Alex, and I hope I will see you guys next time. Woo!